there, and this is FTM Transtastic. So this week, I am your guest, I guess, and I have picked the topic of housing. For me, this more recently means college dormitories and now apartment hunting, and the prospects of the whole being trans and doing those things. I go to a Jesuit university, so one might think that their dormitory policies are much stricter than they actually have been. When I informed the residential hall staff that I was a trans man, they took it rather well. They offered to put me in male housing, even though I had chosen my roommate and was like perfectly fine with everything, which was great to have, but I knew the girls that I was going to be living with were clean, so I was kind of like fine with it. I have this cleanliness thing. It's a problem. And now I've started looking into either leasing, or my parents might buy an apartment in the city and use it for vacations / have me live there and watch over it. I go to school in New York City, I forgot to mention, so that's a big deal, but my biggest concern is in picking not only a neighborhood that would accept me, but a neighborhood that would accept me, and then also a building that would accept me. That means making sure that none of my neighbors would have animosity towards me, my building manager. It's really a huge process, and I know the laws in New York are very open, so that I will not be discriminated against, but it still worries me in the fact that just because they cannot tell me that I can't live there because of who I am, doesn't mean that other people won't bring it to my attention. This past year in school, it was brought to my attention that maybe they didn't necessarily want me on the same floor in the same hallway as them. And I take this very lightly. It was only a few people, and most people were very nice and open towards me. It's just this conflict of the world is getting more accepting, but it's not there yet. It hasn't reached the standard yet, and especially not in certain areas. Obviously, the US is more accepting than many other places, but it's still not as accepting as a lot of other countries. I have really bad allergies. If I were going to a state school here in California, where I have grown up, I would have viable options, like LGBT-specific housing, that I know I would be welcome in, whereas I go to New York, and that is not an option at most of the schools that I looked at. I know NYU has an okay program, but other than that, the big art and theater schools that I was looking at did not have that option. And now that I'm looking to move off of my school campus, granted my school campus is a 2x2 block radius. Anyways, now that I'm moving off campus, it seems to worry me a little more, because if people do figure out sort of like how I identify, they might find issue with it, then they might bring it to my attention, or they might not, and they might just do that thing where you know people are giving you dirty stares for that specific reason, but they won't tell you, and you just see them all the time, and they're just doing the thing where they give you the dirty stare. You know the dirty stare. You know the dirty stare. like they judging you, like they have some right to judge you. They just stare. And I just can't. It worries me. But someday, all will be right with the world, and it won't matter what gender you are, what sex you are, what parts you were born with, what your DNA says, all of that, who you like to make love with, it won't matter. Whether or not I'll live to see that day, that's a different issue. No, I'm kidding. I'm fine. I'm just really allergic to being in California. Anyways, have a great week, you guys, and it's nice to see you.